Marchand beats Pelosi. Off the wall to Harris. Harris has got Pelosi. Harris to Pelosi. Shot. He scores! Chris Pelosi!
And Poitras trying to drive in on that right wing side. Poitras in. Scores! Matt Poitras in overtime.
Ellis took it right off his stick. Sends one through. They score! First career goal for the Bruins draft pick, Donald Millis.
To the blue line, Cowan has it, looking for the return feed. Cowan lets it go back to the point. Shot! Score!
Those were without all of their World Junior guys for that against Simon Fraser. BC played him Sunday. Good pass ahead. There's Yelvik. He scores! Didn't need an exhibition.
Will come up with it. Ross Schwab flips it out to center. Now McKinney gets chased with Harrison. Harrison to the backhand. Score! A deft touch.
Watch out. Nelson steals. Walks in. Scores! 6-2. Jackson Nelson has the hat trick.
In a Crosby line. Dula wins that battle. Now he's on the wall side. He
Welcome in, folks, for another episode of Dom.Hockey, the podcast. I am your host, Chris Nozick, joined as I am every episode by the one and only Dominic Tiano. And this episode is brought to you by our friends over at Ice Shaker. Dom, you excited to give one of these away in the next 2 weeks?
Yes, I am.
Especially the fact that it's a Bruins one. That's what I'm looking forward to. So we'll let you know next week how you can win it. We'll give probably about 4 episodes where you can qualify, however we determine that'll be. So tune in. We announced it yesterday. But Dom, how's your Monday going?
Good. It's cold and it's windy. They're expecting, I think they said 80-kilometer-an-hour winds tonight, which is about 50 miles an hour.
Damn.
And beginning any time now and through till tomorrow morning, 10 centimeters of snow, which is about 4 inches. So It's going to be blowing around pretty good.
Hunker down, my friend. Try and stay safe up there and
Always.
stay warm.
Always. I got good snow tires on. For the first time in 30 years, I put snow tires on my vehicle. So there you go.
Oh, and the good news is there's going to be plenty of hockey to watch. So
Yes.
And tomorrow we got the Bruins playing again. But today is all about the prospects. The guys up and coming, trying to crack the NHL and where they fit in based on how their last week has gone. So where do you want to start?
Well, I promised people on Twitter, because we're approaching the 4 nations and trade deadline, that when we whip through all the highlights and the games from last week, we'll try and rush through them and spend a little bit more time on this. And that is each player's trade value. We'll start with the amateurs and then work down to the pro guys in Providence. A lot of it is based on my own personal opinion, but I talked to a couple of people in the NHL to get their read on it. So if we can whip through the players in Providence real quick, we'll spend more time on that because, like I said, trade deadline is coming and people want to know.
Sure. Well, what it sounds like we can do is we'll zip through, like you said, highlights and that stuff, and then we'll just start back at the top and just kind of go back through in the same order as to what their trade value is.
Yeah.
That way we know what kind of what their most recent week looks like, and then we can kind of see how that compares to their trade value. Chat's already bumping up and getting some noise in there. Craig Eagles, friend of the show. Hopefully we can get him on in the next couple weeks again as well. All right. So do we want to start overseas? Do we want to start in the NCAA? I will let you decide.
Let's start with Chris, with Casper Nason.
Okay.
I almost said Chris. I don't know why.
I'm just on your brain, man.
Well, you know, I call him Casper the Friendly Ghost because he disappears a lot. So Friday they got blown out by Western Michigan, 8-3. No points for Nason. Was a -3, 17 minutes time on ice. Saturday was a little closer, 2-0. Obviously, zeros again for Nason. He's on a terrible streak, but that Miami team, man, it sucks. I think they've lost like 14 in a row.
That's tough.
Yeah. So we'll move on to our good friend Don Mellis. Defeated Alaska 4-2 on Friday night. Mellis had a goal disallowed, but then he had a goal and an assist in the game. He was a +2, 3 shots on net, 8 for 12 on the dot, 19 minutes time on ice. We got some highlights of this. Like, I think the first one is him setting up a goal here.
Well, I had the disallowed goal.
Yeah, it got disallowed for goaltender interference, but that's the one I want to show because the setup that he made here is absolutely amazing.
All right, I have that queued up. And unfortunately, we don't have audio for potential
on the
issues.
left boards, number 10. Let her go, Chris. There he gets the puck. Watch his feet across. Like through sticks and everything. Unfortunately, it got disallowed because of the goaltender interference.
I was going to say, yeah, you can see the goaltender is nowhere to be found on that wide open net, but that's still a hell of a pass. So
yeah. Play it again. I got to see this one again. Like, that's amazing.
I mean, you're going through what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys. You're weaving through 10 legs and 5 sticks.
Yeah.
So hell of a pass right there.
Yeah. So, but the goal that he scores, not as impressive, but impressive in itself. I think he's behind the net. I'm trying to remember the goal. He lifts the opponent's stick and goes around for the wraparound. Unfortunately, when I saved this for you and sent it to you, I cut it off. I started it too late, so we're missing it in real time, the goal. But I did put the highlights in there, so let that one go, Chris.
This is the one from Friday, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let me get that screen share going here.
So watch.
It kicks in right about there.
Yeah, there we go. Stick lift around and bang in the net. They'll show a highlight with, I believe here, that's a little better to see. No,
but I can slow it down.
No, that's the next night. Sorry. The next night he does the same thing, I believe it is.
Oh, gotcha. Let me pull that one up real quick.
Yeah, so the next night they beat Alaska again, 7-3.
Yeah, this is the one. And actually, you know what?
This is a different one. That was the one. So he finished with 4 shots on net, 50% on the dot. Only 14 minutes in ice time, which is really low for him. I believe that was a season low. So let her go. This is Loch Mellis on the right side of your screen there.
Over here.
I believe that's him. Yeah, he'll come up around.
I just started it at the replay position.
He never stops moving.
Ooh.
Never, ever stops moving.
That's a great angle right here, too. This is a solid angle.
Like he's always going to the open ice. And this is my issue with Don's Loch Mellis, is that he doesn't shoot enough. If he starts to use his shot, instead of deferring all the time, he can score goals.
Yeah, I mean that was a seeing eye shot. Like that found its way through, and it was with distance too.
Yeah.
So,
But he can do that. But it's just his vision and his ability to get into that open ice is constant with him. Any highlight you watch of him, you just watch. He's always getting into that open ice.
yeah, which is something you always love to see. So,
let's move on to the BC boys. Wasn't a good weekend for the prospects. Friday they beat BU 6-2. Nothing for either Yelvik, Gasso, or Letourneau. And then they beat BU again on Saturday 2-0. Again, nothing for our boys. They're in a slump. I don't mean the team. I mean Gasso and Yelvik. Right now, they're in a bit of a mini slump. But I guess we should mention Letourneau's ice time because everybody wants to know about Dean Letourneau. Friday night, 8 minutes and 20 seconds. Saturday night, 6 minutes and 28 seconds. I will say, I can't remember which game it was. I believe it was the Friday night game. He got rocked. Big hit.
yeah. Let me see here. Sorry, I've got a few things going on my end here. Mike was asking if you're starting to worry about Yelvik's production. We could talk about a little bit more about that, Mike, when we come and circle back to his trade value, just because that's where it would have an effect. But I do have a surprise for you coming up in a minute here, Dom.
Oh, okay.
So
give it to me now.
I will in just a minute.
Okay.
But we were talking what Letourneau?
Yeah. His ice time on the weekend.
I'm not worried about it.
I'm not worried about it either.
I'm not worried about it. I like at the end of the day, I don't care what his stats are. Like it's great to see them, and I'd love to see him have a 20 goal season and all this other stuff. But I'm just not that worried about him. I want to see how he goes next year. That's the year I'm looking at.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll skip past Jake Schmaltz because North Dakota had a bye. We'll move to Minnesota and Beckett Hendrickson. They got killed on Friday night by Michigan State 9-3. The good news is they had moved Hendrickson up to the second line for the game. And we've talked a few times about when he's put higher up in the lineup with skilled players, he puts up points.
Yeah.
The bad news is he took a high hit. I have not seen a slow-mo replay of it. They didn't show it. At watching it as it happened and at full speed, it looked like a 5-minute major to me. The officials reviewed it. They decided to knock it down to a 2-minute minor. He did not return in the game, only had 8 minutes and 30 seconds or something like that. And he missed Saturday's game. So I don't know what it was. I don't want to guess, but sorry to see it.
Yeah, no. You always like to see someone who can play up and down the lineup and match what the line mates are doing. Something that we're seeing now over the course of time has happened with Morgan Geekie at the NHL level. But we are going to turn over to the next prospect. But before we do, your surprise is here.
What's my surprise?
Friend of the show is popping in. We've got Craig Eagles joining us.
Craig, awesome. How you doing, buddy?
Whoop, we got audio. I'm not sure if we're muted. Oh, not yet. Gotta love the live production part.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to be a side producer, we can fish this stuff out.
Can you hear me now?
I
Oh
can
yeah,
hear you
loud
now.
and clear. How
There
you
we
doing,
go.
buddy?
Welcome back to the show, Craig.
Well, it's great. It's a great topic, and thanks so much for the invite.
Always. And we're actually about to turn over to one of my favorite prospects in the system, Ty Gallagher.
Nice.
Dom, he's been one of my favorites to follow for a while, especially now that he's
he
having
was
the
mine
turnaround
too.
season.
He was too until last year. But, for a 7th round draft pick in 2021, what this guy is doing at Colorado College compared to what he did last year, just unbelievable. Anyway, Colorado College was facing Arizona State, and they were down 4-1. And Gallagher took over. He was a breakout machine. I think he ended the game with 1 assist. But he had a game high 6 shots on goal, and he was flying on all cylinders. And I believe you got the assist that
I do.
that he had Friday night. Okay, he starts the breakout from his own zone here. Just he sees a guy, passes it up. That's him on the left side.
I believe right over here, right?
Yeah, I believe that's it. You got to play it so I can. Yeah. So he started it up, passed it up here, and look, that's him jumping up into the play. Fires it on net, rebound, back of the net.
That's one thing that Dom, you've talked about it, and Chris, you've talked about it tons of times. The awareness of players jumping up and knowing when to pick their spots, right? You don't want a guy up ice all the time. You want a guy that can really read the play and process things and make a difference when it matters. So you make that play. It's a good pass coming out of your own zone, but he busts, right? He jumps on it and he reads it right there.
Yeah.
Right? He's taking his ice. It's quality ice, and he jumps in and he makes things happen.
Well,
yeah, and it looks like a nothing shot, but it's on net.
But what we're seeing in these defensemen, exactly what Craig said, but none of them are winding up for the big shot. They really aren't. They're looking to get shots through. I want to read you something that I came across this morning. And it goes to what Craig was saying there. Showing creativity is great, but when players ignore instruction and team systems in effort to showcase their ability, rather than play the right way, it affects everyone. Some coaches address it while others just ignore it because of who the player is, or it helps them get the W. That was from Craig Eagles this morning. I didn't know Craig was jumping on the show tonight. So
thanks, Dom.
That's what you notice a lot about Gallagher is he doesn't care about the individual glory or making himself look good. Time and time again, he does what is best for his team. And that was an example of what we just saw right there.
From a scouting perspective, guys, and everyone knows this. When you go out on your own and you try to showcase and try to stick handle through traffic and toe drags and all this stuff, you do get noticed, but you get noticed for all the wrong reasons. And, that's where you put the asterisk by the kid's name and say, hey, all the tools, but struggles processing. And I don't know if it's the processing guys or the selfishness. But throughout the years, you've seen that at every level. Now, once they get to the National Hockey League and the American Hockey League, that doesn't exist. But from U18 or U15 all the way up to the major junior ranks, it's apparent, and it's noticeable, Dom. It really is.
I think that's some of what we have seen a little bit in the maturation process of Fabian Lysell. There were multiple instances last year and even the year before where he would hang on to that puck too long. He would, like you said, try to toe drag or dangle through and do too much. And clearly it was to the detriment, because he was trying to make a play. And while he may have the talent to do so, the better play was not to do what he did. And so when people want to know why isn't he getting a call up, it's because they're trying to get the negative parts of that part of his game out at the American Hockey League, because it won't work in the National Hockey League.
It's just like a pro golfer, right? Honestly, you're not trying to build things into your golf swing, guys. You're trying to eradicate, that one glaring issue that might cause you to double cross and hit the big hook when you set up for the fade, from a golfing analogy. In this case, Chris, you hit the nail on the head. You really, really need the player to understand his creativity within, the grand scheme of things, and when to use that creativity. And we're seeing it at the National Hockey League level right now, where it's risk and reward, right? And especially the last few games with the Bees, it's one and done, and the puck's gone the other way, and then they're working their asses off to try to get back. But it caused the turnover, 3 or 4 feet inside the blue line, because you're trying to dangle and trying to create, because you're starved for goals, right? But it hurts, and it hurts more, on the back end. And at the major junior level, it's a glaring issue for a lot of players, and especially offensive-minded defensemen that still, again, struggle with finding that creativity and finding that balance of, I need to be this player in this shift, but I can create in this shift. They haven't found that balance, and that's the big separator, Dom, in my opinion.
Yeah. Nothing to add to that, really.
I do have the highlight of Gallagher's goal from the Saturday game as well.
Assist.
I'm sorry, the assist.
Yeah, this is him jumping up into the play again, right in front of the net. Got stopped, but the rebound was there for the taking. Number 6, bang, rebound in.
And he also cycles around the net to continue the play in case it doesn't go in.
Yeah.
So
I like his awareness to jump into that ice in that scene. Right?
Yeah, very intelligent player.
And he's getting to the middle, Dom, there, and he's shielding he's taking that stick away. I don't know, Chris, you can see it. Is it 4? The white
6.
player? No, the 4, the white player.
Oh, right here.
Yeah.
It's 4 or 14. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
He goes to try to get his stick in there, but
exactly. But he's shielding that stick and taking away his stick. Right? Trying to get to the middle and set that wall so he gets the opportunity. Smart play. Right? And again, I'm not familiar with the player, but from what I'm seeing in 2 clips, right? Very, very good skater and a strong skater. And like we just alluded to, knows when to pick his spots.
All right. So you want to jump into Quinnipiac's weekend there, Dom?
Yeah. So Friday night, they lost a squeaker 2-1. Saturday, they beat Yale 6-2. This Chris Pelosi goal you're about to show us, unbelievable. So he intercepts the pass. This is shorthanded. if I remember correctly. Slips it through the defender's legs, beats him wide, picks up the puck on the other side, goes in alone and scores. Just a beautiful goal. So that's him right there through the legs, around and in.
See, it's a perfect, sorry, Dom, to cut you off, but it's a perfect example of a player knowing in a one-on-one situation, okay, I can dangle now. Like, I can beat this guy and get to the net.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Now, are they in good position if the puck gets turned over? They're not bad. Like, if it gets turned over there, guys, and it gets into the neutral zone, they have good layers.
Yeah, they still got 3 guys back.
They got 3 guys back, and he's aware of that. So, okay, let's break this guy down, and let's get my ass to the net and finish.
I'm also not sure if this is what he intended to do, because he's got a teammate wide open streaking down the middle.
I don't think he noticed him.
You don't think so?
No. He
maybe not.
Absolutely, that was his play.
I'll give it to you. I could see either one. But yeah, I mean, he, like you said, he's there. It just, the ability to do that, I don't know. I'm looking forward to watching more of them growing. It's funny because I see a lot of trade this player for a second round pick who's going to be ready in 2 or 3 years. And I'm like, do you even realize what's in your system that's 2 or 3 years away?
Yeah.
So, but with that, we also had Elliot Groenwald, who played. How was his weekend with Quinnipiac?
Quiet. He was good defensively. I'm not going to complain about an 18-year-old playing college hockey as well as he is right now. Obviously, there are things to work on. Craig, we see these guys 16, 17, 18 years of age all the time, right? Yeah. There's always things to work on, but he's holding his own. Absolutely loved his pickup by the Bruins. We'll see how he progresses moving forward.
To make the jump as a true freshman and to play at 18 like that and to play quality minutes, like from a CHL perspective, and you're well aware of this, guys, at 18, 19, that's prime. That's where we're kind of projecting. 18, 19 at the NCAA route is, hey, you're just learning, right? You're gaining some traction and some footing, and you're going through the process. So that's great that he's logging minutes at 18. That very valuable, in my opinion.
There's nights he's getting 20 minutes a night as an 18-year-old,
right?
On a good team,
right? Yeah. But all the points and all this hogwash. Look beyond all the stat sheet and to see the value that the player possesses.
Yeah,
absolutely. And speaking of value,
pretty goals. Speaking of pretty goals, Ryan Walsh wins a face-off, beats his guy who is trying to tie him up at center ice, moves straight down the slot with speed, takes a pass, gets down to one knee, one times it, falls on his ass, and he still finds back of the net.
Yeah, this one, oh man, right off the draw, gains the speed too. That speed from a stop.
Yeah.
You blink and you miss it, eh, Chris?
You blink and you miss it, but
it's you can see from right here, like he's right off the draw. He recognizes right there that they're gonna win possession of that puck, and he just beelines it right to the net.
And his right, he knows already he has the advantage over his check.
Yeah.
So it's the awareness. Okay, if I turn on the Jets here, right, I give my teammate, my line mate, an option.
Yep.
And then after that, it's up to the teammate to spot him.
And that was a hell of a pass.
Well, yeah, and a great shot, great finish.
Yeah. So, And he comfortably leads the team, Cornell, in scoring. Saturday night wasn't a good night for him. They lost 6-1. And it was his season worst -4 in the game. No points. But you know what? Everybody has a bad game, right?
I was just gonna say everybody gets a clunker.
Well, and again, you look at this and let's say there's a line change. And again, I haven't looked at the film, but let's say there's a line change and he just jumps on and they score.
Yeah.
Well, get the paper and the pen out. Oh, well, he's on the ice, right? Maybe it had nothing to do with the play, right? So, and again, if you're just going purely off the stat sheet, they're not indicators. Like I saw a kid this weekend, okay? Will Reynolds plays for Bathurst. I think he's going to be an early 3rd round pick, the National Hockey League draft 2025. He's a left shot out of Fredericton, New Brunswick. And Friday night, I thought he was really, really good. Really good. Team lost 7-1. He took three penalties, 2 of which I don't think were penalties, right? But if you look at the stat sheet, they lost 7-2 or 7-1 and this and that. He was very, very good. And him and his partner, they were an even. They didn't get scored on. So again, it's the eye test, Dom, and I tweeted something out on Saturday night with regards to, you can take the snapshot and you can look at one game and base something on that, or you can look at the full body of work. And especially in a back-to-back situation, you're not going to have your A game, and we've talked about that before. What's their B game look like, and what's their compete level away from the puck? And I think that's very telling in certain cases as well.
Absolutely. Anything else on Ryan Walsh there, Dom?
No, that's good. Let's move on to Mason Langenbrunner. So that goal Walsh scored on Friday night, that was against Langenbrunner's Harvard squad. So, but here's what the point I want to make on Langenbrunner. Actually, 2 points. Early in the season, well, up until maybe 3 weeks ago, he was playing as a 7th defenseman. 9, 10, 11 minutes a night, maybe, if he was lucky. He's moved up. Saturday night, he had a team high 21 minutes and change time on ice. And he's starting to produce. We also mentioned when we were talking about Ty Gallagher, how these defensemen, the theme now is they don't wind up for the big shot. It's just, they're just trying to get it through nowadays, and they're learning it at the young level. So watch Langenbrunner here on the bottom of your screen, number 22, I believe he wears.
Yep.
So let her go. This is off the face-off. Comes back to him. No wind up. Just get it to the net and in.
And it just, a shot on goal with purpose to get to the net.
Yeah.
And
look where he's holding the puck. I know Billy Jaffe talks about this, and Brick talks about it, right? Off that hip, right?
Yeah.
Off the hip. So, but guys, and again, just looking at the clip real fast, first time I saw it, look where his eyes are. He's looking for sticks.
Exactly.
Yep. And by the time he throws it on net, he's got a one-on-one battle right there in the slot, right in front of the goaltender. And between 2 of the defenders, a good solid body screen and stick screen that he's shooting through.
Yeah.
So
he attacks the triangle, right?
Yep.
And that's what you can do with your head up.
And then
now,
it just
Craig,
finds
yes,
the net.
sir.
Are we seeing that more? Is it just me, or are you seeing it too? Are we seeing it more and more?
Oh, there's
lack of the
no question.
lack of the slap shot.
Yeah, and again, it's about, and people might be out there saying, "Oh no, it's not," but it's about zone time, right? The big
Yeah.
slappers and stuff like that. You miss the net,
It's gone the
ran
other
out,
way.
it's gone. So it's about zone time. It's about system, getting shots through, getting traffic in front. And I'm glad you mentioned that, Dom, because that's one area which we're going to talk about here. If I can stay on long enough, I gotta do a few things around the house. But I think that's one aspect where Loki struggled, and especially on Saturday against Rimouski,
Mm-hmm.
getting shots through. He had about 6 or 7 quality opportunities. And again, it's that one snapshot. Oh, well, he wasn't very good. He's been very, very good. He's working on certain aspects of his game. And that's one area. Is it a mechanics thing? Maybe. Okay. His bottom hand might be a little too high on the stick, might be a little too low. But those are things that I'm sure Paul Boudelier and the coaching staff are looking at, or going to look at.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, there's a defenseman, eyes up all the time, okay, puck in the good position to get that shot through. And, okay, we're seeing it with a lot of forwards, okay, getting that puck right there, and they can pass it, Dom. Right?
Hold it right there, because we'll skip the next guy and we'll go straight to Loki, because we have the highlight from Saturday night.
Okay.
I totally agree with you. On Sunday, it was not his best game. But what I like about here is that he actually takes 2 strides backwards on the blue line.
Yes.
To get that lane. And off the hip, just like you said, no big windup. It's just get it through to the net.
And they've paired him, right? It's the Dylan Gill effect, Dom. They've paired him with Dylan Gill. He's not playing with Dylan McKinnon.
Yeah.
Right? Because, again, they're trying to solidify their pairings. And I wrote a piece on, the Moncton Wildcats are like the Toronto Maple Leafs of the Q. Okay. If something doesn't go their way, the social media platforms blow up. The fan base are so anxious to win. But right, there's a perfect opportunity and a perfect example of, okay, and there's right, Vidicek, who's going the NCAA route as well. But there's a perfect example of a defenseman, okay, being aware and heads up, and that puck, like you just said, on the hip. Needed more of that on Saturday, Dom. Needed more of that.
Yeah. So, just to go a little bit off topic, why are these young kids getting it in junior or the USHL or in college, and the pros still haven't figured it out?
You mean getting shots through?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
There are too many of them are winding up for that big slap shot when it isn't the right play. And as you say, if they miss the net, it's gone the other way.
Yeah, well, it's a good question, Dom. I think at the National Hockey League level, we talk about, block shots and getting those shooting lanes and passing lanes. Well, right, we talk about the next level all the time as well. Guys are better at blocking shots, and they take a lot more pride in that. But you're seeing it at the U18 levels where, kid blocks a shot, the whole bench goes ballistic, and which is great. And you're seeing it at every level. Guys blocking shots. I think there's more awareness of getting in those shooting lanes. I think there's more emphasis on, hey, that's a potential shot and a potential goal with how things are now within, right? Ever since the rule changes and clutch and grab, there's a lot more time and space, and guys, don't have to be interfered with anymore. And I think now with the whole idea of fronting your man in front of the net, which I don't really agree with, to be honest.
I don't either.
Because you need to take his stick away.
Mhm.
And I think that's the biggest point here is you can front him all you want. If the puck gets through you, right, and then it's a one-on-one situation, the guy's stick is wide open.
Yeah.
So again, you've got to be very, very careful on how you approach that. It's an art form, Dom, and I think more. And to go back to your question, I think more and more coaches at younger levels are aware of moving on the offensive blue line, using your feet first, and then practicing and getting those shots off and getting that through traffic. And I think it's paying dividends when younger defensemen are more aware of, okay, I don't need the big back scratcher here. I just need the little quick snapshot. And it doesn't necessarily always have to be on net. We're seeing lots of, angle it to the back, backboards for the rebound or the off the kick plate back out in front. So again, I think it's another level and another layer that young defensemen have to learn at younger ages now, which is not a bad thing.
No, I think
they're
getting
the coaches, right?
Yeah.
And the quality coaching that comes with that. We were always taught, and Dale, God rest his soul, my coach and mentor, Dale Turner, he had us pulling pucks and at Adam, novice selects, he had us pulling pucks. We'd skate in and pull the puck to the middle and get the shot through in Adam, because he, different thought processing about the game at all. And so it's so valuable when you have quality coaching at a young age.
Yeah, I think back to Hampus Lindholm, to David Pasternak in overtime against the Leafs, and how everybody was in awe. And I'm like, I see that once a week in junior.
Yeah.
It was a hell of a play.
It was a hell of a play, and I was jumping up and down, but then I'm like, don't review this. They better not review this.
Yeah.
Because it was a bang, bang play, and I'm like, is that offside? Don't be offside.
Yeah.
And
I know exactly how you feel.
My fandom came through, guys. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
My fandom came through on that night.
Yeah, your fandom was showing a little bit.
Yeah, a little.
Let's move on to the USHL real quick.
Real quick, we did skip someone, and I know. We got to do a quick check-in. How is Murenberg looking? Is he starting to just look a little better?
It's still rust. Rust. 15 minutes.
Enough to sum it up that way.
Yeah. It's the guy missed 35 games.
I'm not expecting much.
Yeah, it's going to take time. Thursday night, the boys in Dubuque, they all sucked. I'm so disappointed in all three of them. That's Cole Spicer, Jonathan Morello, and Christian Kostadinsky. And then to make me eat crow, Jonathan Morello does this on Saturday night. Go ahead and play the clip, Chris.
Yep. I'm getting it ready right now. Here we go.
So I'm trying to remember where. Okay, Morello's right there, down the middle.
Oh.
Bang. Go back to the beginning, because to see how far and how fast he skates.
Wow.
Like he was in his own zone when that puck was way up in the neutral zone. One more time, Chris.
I'm going to slow it down because he's way back here.
Yeah, I can't see you where you're pointing.
He's back behind the blue line.
There.
He's about halfway.
He's almost at the tops of the circles.
Yeah, pretty much. And the puck is just inside the neutral zone. The pass gets made right
up
over
to
the
blue line,
and he just beelines it right between the two defensemen.
It's the finish, though, right?
Pants is the goalie.
Like that's just beautiful. And I said I was disappointed with him. And the reason why I'm disappointed, if you remember when we were talking about Jonathan Morello before the season even started, if you go back to the summer when people were saying, is he an option? And I'm like, no, there's no way this guy's going to be around for the 5th round. And sure enough, he was. And the Bruins nabbed him. And what's disappointing is that is what he's capable of doing. If you remember the highlight from last week, it was the same thing. Just not seeing it enough. However, that said, I love his skating. I love his defensive game. His defensive game is way up here. He's well ahead of where he should be. I don't know if he's passing up the offense to play defense. Remember that one goal we showed a couple of weeks ago, Chris, when it was in the offensive zone and he was the last man back protecting protecting in case the puck was turned over? He was behind his defenseman. And then when they won the puck, he went up the boards, got it, and in the net. I'm wondering if he's passing up opportunities.
And Dom, just so you know, I'm keeping all of these clips, so we'll be able to piece together players, and we'll review them going forward as well. So
good, because I delete them as soon as I send them to you.
I think the biggest takeaway for me seeing that play, and again, I wasn't privy to the video clips, but is he does it at top speed, and it's automatic. It's automatic. Mm-hmm. There's no thought process there. He knows exactly what he's going to do when he closes in, right? And there's no hesitation. And I think that's a true, in my opinion, that's a true indicator of, hey, this kid's got some offensive upside. And as far as the defensive side of things, what's going to get him to the next level, okay, the quickest? Playing away from the puck. And once kids realize that they have to take care of things defensively, okay, as they climb the ladder and be more responsible. I think once they figure that out, then things will take care of it. I think Johnny Beecher is a perfect example of that. Obviously, the offense, it is what it is. But in Beecher's case, he's a pure skater, and he's taking care of business on the defensive side of things. And the offensive opportunities are coming, and they're going to continue to come as his role and his identity grows and the opportunity. Like, there's a kid that if you move him up in the lineup, he's not going to hurt you now.
Right.
He's not going to hurt you.
Absolutely. I think the last one we have to get to before we jump to the baby bees is
because there's a question I want to ask Craig about one of the baby bees. Well, maybe several, but one in particular. So it's fed back. Officially, it's I don't know why the NCAA does this. Officially, it was a 3-3 tie, but they play a shootout anyway, and
why would they do
UMass?
That?
I think it was UMass.
Yeah,
UMass won
UMass
the shootout.
Lowell.
So 22 or 25 saves for Fedback, 2 or 3 in the shootout, and he didn't play in Saturday's 1-0 loss. What we should mention about Svedback and our good friend Ty Gallagher is they are both their team's nominee for the Hobie Baker Award. So Svedback for Providence College, Ty Gallagher for Colorado College. Neither one will win, but we're talking a 7th round pick. And what was Svedback? A 4th round pick, being considered their team's best player.
See, that's progress, right? That's progress.
Exactly.
I'll absolutely take that. So with that, we now have to fly through the baby bees here. And then Dom, I know you made a lot of promises to go through some trade value.
Yeah.
So let's go through the baby bees real quick.
So 3 shoutouts in a row. That was Friday night. DiPietro got that one, second shutout in consecutive games. Rather than me describe it, just show the Georgi Merkulov goal. Chris,
I don't know if I have the Mercula. Oh nope, I have the one on Saturday.
No, he scored on Friday.
I don't have that one.
Maybe that's my mistake. Oh no, maybe it was Saturday.
Let's get. This is the one that I have. Where he flies the zone. Was that the one you're talking about?
That was Saturday. Doesn't matter. But yeah, so Merkulov had a goal on Thursday. Tyler Pitlick remains hot. Fabian Lysell. It was Merkulov won a face-off to him. He cuts to the middle and wrists it home. I don't think I sent you any from Friday then, did I?
I got the Lysell off the draw one.
Okay, let's play that one.
I got it right here for you. This is the one that you were just talking about, where he gets it right off the face-off.
Yeah.
And he rips it from the circle.
People talk about changing the angle a lot, right? There's a perfect example. If you go back, he buys time right there, right? His head's up. That little move back to that shooting pocket right there.
Right there.
He knows where he's going, but that bought him a little bit of time. Good face-off assignment, right? And the Rochester defenders are trying to get their stick in there, but he's aware of that, and he gets it off in time.
And he gets the extra screen because he buys himself that little extra bit of time. So
exactly, and right, his line mates know that it's part of the set play, it's part of the rotation. But that's a great read from a quality goal scorer, right? And it's a goal scorer's goal to have the ability to shoot the puck like that.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So real quick, because there's a highlight here I want Craig to see, and I want to ask him about this kid. Providence come out on top again, force-free in the shootout over Springfield. One of the goal scorers was Frederic Brunet. And you have the highlight of this one, Chris. And
then I want to ask where you were going.
Again, off the face-off, but no wind-up. Just get it on net, and it finds the back of the net.
Pretty good draft pick, eh?
Yeah. So I'm confused by something I read. I believe it was yesterday, Craig.
Yeah.
And it said, Frederic Brunet is not an offensive defenseman. He's not a defensive defenseman. Basically, what you see is what you get. What do you say to that?
I read that too.
Well,
nobody's watched him more than you have over the last few years.
Well, I'll just say this, and I'll give you the PG rated reply. Opinions are like noses. Everyone has one.
Right.
I could go the Clint Eastwood route, but anyway. But everyone's entitled to their own opinion on that, Dom. But so what is he then? right? So that's my reply. Okay,
Yeah.
well, you tell me what you think he is, and then I'll tell you what I think he is, and then we can have the debate, right? He's a 2.5 zone defenseman at the pro game. Is he going to light the world on fire offensively? No. Is he capable of, running a power play when need be? Yes. Is he going to cost you in transition? No. Is he going to generate, by quality puck movement and generate you chances off the rush? Yes. Does he pick and choose his places to jump into the offensive side of things? Yes. Can he defend? Yes. So is he reliable below the dots in his own zone? How's his stick positioning? Does he close in? Is he physical enough in one-on-one battles? Does he battle in front of the net? Okay, check. So again, here's a kid drafted at 19, playing American Hockey League games at 20, and he's finding his traction and his footing. Are the offensive numbers there? No, but could they be? Yes. He's a 2.5 zone D-man. Is he going to be a full 3 zone D-man? A full 3 zone guy is Gerard from Colorado, or
Makar.
Makar, or those are rare.
Those guys, yeah.
Right? Would you say McAvoy's a full 3 zone D guy?
No.
He's a 2.5 zoner.
2.5, yeah.
And he's really, really good at what he does. Full 3 zones are rare. So here's a young kid who's a 2.5 zone D-man in training, right?
Who was a 5th round draft pick.
Yeah.
If you get a 2 zone defenseman out of a 5th round draft pick, that's a win. If they can do it at the NHL level.
Right. So there's value there. How many games has he played? How many games will he continue to play? Does he add depth to your organization? Right. So I just think it's a win-win. I think he's a very serviceable player. I think, is he going to play NHL games? Yes, he'll play NHL games. It's a matter of time. Oh, how old is he, Dom? How old is he again?
Just turned 21.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
21.
Still, but I mean,
what more do you want?
Really, he's got 3 goals, 8 assists in 39 games, 11 points. He's a plus 15.
Not too shabby.
With 17 penalty minutes. Am I disappointed in his offensive production? No, he's still a rookie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's a defenseman. If he was a forward, I'd say, okay, I'm a little disappointed, but he's a defenseman.
He's played less than 100 games in the American Hockey League.
Yeah.
If you expect, like, if you expect perfection from that, you're just, I don't know what to tell you.
I will say this, and I'll go like George Costanza, maybe on a high. I don't know. But anyway, here's the thing, guys. Okay. You look at his minutes. You look at his time on ice. Is he logging big minutes, right? And in those situations, is he excelling? So there's a young player, a young defenseman at plus 15 that's contributing. Anyway, I don't know if that's Costanza like where I just walk away or leave. But
well,
I was just saying, go ahead, Dom.
To add to that too, Chris, with Osterley and Callahan being called up to Boston because of injuries up there, he's been thrown into the fire.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And which is great.
Yeah.
And Osterley and Callahan they've been pretty good.
Yeah.
Serviceable is what you needed from them, and that's what they're giving you. So
exactly.
You're not asking them to go out to be Cale Makar or Quinn Hughes or even Luke Hughes. So just go do your thing and be serviceable. So
well, hopefully I was serviceable tonight, guys.
I was just gonna say, Greg, I know you said you had to get going shortly. So is now the time that you need to exit?
I need to jump, guys. Thanks so much. It's always a pleasure. And again,
before you head out, just let the viewers know where they can find your work real quick.
oh, well, thanks for the opportunity for that. But, at Eags37 and First Down Sports podcast. That's where the articles are going to be. And yeah, so and Neutral Zone. I haven't written a whole bunch of reports. We're doing our rankings, our NHL rankings, and those are fast approaching. And we've done a lot of work in the 20-year-old aspect of things. So I personally, I ranked out 32 overagers, and it's great. 32. So in my conference here, the Eastern Conference in the Q. So
wow,
you can check that out on that platform. But it's great to see a lot of those overagers getting an opportunity at the NCAA mix. So
yeah,
and Vidicek is one of them, which is great. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for the opportunity, and keep doing what you're doing. This is fantastic. And before I leave, I feel like Columbo. I have one more question, but anyway, there I'm dating myself, but Dom remembers. Columbo.
I got the reference.
Oh, good.
I
good.
remember.
That's
I
great.
remember.
I read your article today, Dom. It was fantastic,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously that's the upcoming topic as well. But it was bang on. So good job. Keep going, and thanks again, guys.
Thank you so much, Craig, for jumping on with
Thank
us. You have
you,
a great
Craig.
night. Craig Eagles,
Always fun to
always
talk
great to
Craig.
have him on. Thank you so much. Can't thank him enough. We've got about a half hour left. What do you say we get
let's
some
whip
of
through
the trade talk, the trade value talk here?
So let's start with the amateurs,
Sure.
Chris. We'll go through them real quick, and then we'll go to the pros. So the way I'm going to rate this is on a scale of 1 to 5.
Okay.
1 is no trade value. 5 is the best trade value you could score, you could possibly get.
Yeah.
That everybody wants you.
Yeah, that's
okay. Now, this is largely based on my opinion, but there's several guys I asked around, a couple of NHL people, what their feelings are. So maybe when I get to them, I'll say I talked to a couple of people, and this is what their thoughts are. So let's start with the amateur guys. Jonathan Mirenberg.
Okay.
Right now, I would put him as a 2. I did ask around about him, and the concern with him, it would be higher, is the injury he's coming back from and how that's going to affect him.
Which is fair. I mean, you miss 30 games, your trade value is going to drop, at least until people see that you're fully recovered.
And being a right-handed defenseman who can defend and transition, that usually carries value in the NHL. Waiting for the how he bounces back from the injury.
And that makes sense. I would agree with that. I would say 1,000% that's a fair assessment.
Yeah. So next up, Ryan Walsh, 6th-round pick in 2023, is a 2. Very, very minimal trade value. People are liking his game. He's almost a game player at Cornell right now. So we'll go to Mason Langenbrunner, the 1. It's got no trade value. Casper Nason, a 1, no trade value. Here's where it gets interesting. Don Slotchmelis.
Ooh.
is a 4.
Okay, I was probably gonna undershoot and say maybe a 3 to a 4. So
Now, people are intrigued by him, especially his all-around game. um, come the World Championships, when that's done, I'm pretty sure he's going to be representing Latvia at the Worlds. He could be a 5, depending on his tournament there.
yeah, that would okay. So that's awesome news because that means he's someone that the Bruins could include in a package depending on what they're looking to get back.
Yeah. So Oscar Yelvik, somebody asked earlier if I'm concerned about his offense dropping. It seems like those that I've talked to are. He's a 2 at this point. I'm not so concerned about it because, as I've mentioned on a couple of shows now, for the first 7 or 8 games, they had him playing center, and he absolutely sucked. Then got injured, came back when he wasn't 100%, moved back to wing, and he started to produce again, minus the last couple of
Sounds
games.
like he could find himself creeping back up into that 3 category if he keeps up a strong rested away and possibly put himself as a 4 for next year.
Yeah, Andre Guesso, I like him more now than I did a year ago. But people I've talked to, very minimal trade value. He's a 2. Dean Letourneau, I asked a few people. Okay, now he's a 5.
I was just gonna say he's probably
Despite
5.
despite the season that he's having, everybody knows why he's there. Everybody knows the season that he's having, but they are still intrigued on the potential. He's a 5. Jake Schmaltz, if I could go below 1, I would go below 1, but I can't.
Would he be negative or 0?
Yeah. Beckett Hendrickson, I want to put him at 3, but I'm going to put him at 2 because those I talked to haven't seen enough of him at this level to say whether he can continue playing at the level he has in terms of his intensity and stuff, and then bring the offense next season.
Okay.
So there are question marks there. Ty Gallagher.
Where are we at with him?
It's mixed on him.
Okay.
So I'm going to put him at a 3.
Fair.
There are people that say very intriguing. They're willing to forget last year because of the situation at BU.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, they're willing to forget the situation there and look at his prior 2 years and this year, and then there are those that won't ignore what happened last year and feel there was a reason why.
Which is a totally fair assessment. I would be very curious to find out what happened. Whether, if I'm in a GM's position, I'm calling Jay Pandolfo. What happened? Why did you use them this way? What changed? And then I'm calling Gallagher and any representation that I can from his side to say, even players to just say, okay, what prompted him to enter the transfer. I would just be digging into that situation as much as I can, because to me that's the one holdback.
And I can tell you they haven't done that. It's just speaking to them one-on-one.
Yeah.
Right. Most of it's through text and what have you. So it's not like they're going to go out and make all those calls for me and say, what's going on here. So Elliot Gronwald, I'm very surprised at, again, an 18-year-old doing as well as he's doing in college, that there's interest in him. If I could say 2.5, I'd say 2.5.
Dom, you can say
so
2.5.
I have to go to. I'll go to 3. With him, It's all about continuing the process. That's all it comes down to. Chris Pelosi, I hate putting him above Hendrickson, but I'll put him at 3. There's mild interest in him, or would be mild interest in him. Loke Johansson is a 2.
Okay.
Very limited interest in
now.
him or his value
That's
right now. But here's the difference between talking to pro scouts and talking to amateur scouts. The amateur scouts would see Loke Johansson more.
Yeah.
Because they're watching him in a league where you draft from. The pros aren't really paying attention to those leagues. It's more guys like Adam McQuaid, who's in player development, that would be paying more attention.
Yeah, and he's someone that, I mean, he's a first-year player in the organization. Let's see where he stands in 2 years. Like, unless he's a first-round pick like Dean Letourneau, you're not going to have very many people who are going, I'm curious what the upside is.
First-year player who has a contract.
Yeah.
Very important, too. Christian Kostadinsky, hate to say it, Chris, but
not
a 1.
surprised.
Jonathan Morello, a 1. I'd like to put it higher, but I'm just told no interest. Cole Spicer, a 1. Philip Svedback, a 1. There's like virtually no value in a prospect goaltender.
Yeah.
Now, some will say, what about Daniel Vladar? Well,
he's not a prospect anymore.
When the Bruins, he wasn't a prospect when he wasn't really a prospect when the Bruins traded him, right?
He was a questionable number 2.
Yeah. At this level, there's no interest in. So that takes care of the amateurs.
And before we get to the guys in Providence, to your point, you're talking to pro scouts, the guys that haven't seen as much of these guys. And again, you're asking in a position for, these guys who are still very clearly a couple years away. I would expect these numbers to be much lower on average. Again, to your point, you're going to have 2, 3, or 4 guys in that 4 or 5 range, but most of them should be 1 to 3 because they're expected to be that many years away from being pro.
Yeah.
So,
but it doesn't get any better in Providence.
I wasn't expecting it to. Everybody talks about how bad our prospect pool is, but where do you want to start with them?
Well, you give me the player and I'll tell you.
Alrighty. Well, let's start with some of the kids that people want called up. Georgi Merkulov.
4.
Okay.
There are teams that are interested in Georgi Merkulov.
Let's see if I can guess.
Georgi Merkulov. Well, Georgi Merkulov on his own isn't going to get you anything. But in a package, there are teams that are interested.
I feel like most of these players, with the exception of a Matthew Poitras, who has shown already at the NHL level that he's, if not there, almost. Most of these players would be packaged together in some form or another. Vinni Lettieri, I would guess. Let me try and guess him and see how far off I'm at. With Vinni Lettieri, I would say probably maybe a 3, maybe a 2.
1.
Really? Even despite what he's showing right now in the NHL. I figured that would bump him up a little bit.
Don't forget the adrenaline factor. There's always the adrenaline factor.
True. Let's see. Patrick Brown will be next.
Well, he's not really a prospect.
I was going to say, I would probably say a 0 or a 1.
I wouldn't even consider Lettieri a prospect.
Okay, that's fair.
At 29.
Fabian Lysell, I would guess probably a 3 or a 4.
He's a 4.
Okay.
In a pack, again, Lysell on his own, he wouldn't bring you a first-round pick back. Put him in a package, and teams would be interested.
Makes sense. John Farinacci.
He's a 3, and for the same reason. In a package, teams would be interested.
I don't think I'd consider Tyler Pitlick a prospect.
No, he's not even under an NHL contract.
Riley Tufte, probably a 1.
1. Yeah.
Matthew Poitras would probably be the biggest 5 out there.
He's a 5.
Ian Mitchell would maybe be a 2 at best.
At best. It's somewhere between 1 and 2.
Jeffrey VL, same thing. I would probably go with a 1, though. I don't see teams clamoring to get him. Same thing. Max Jones, I wouldn't really consider him a prospect, but if you did want to include him, I'd say maybe a 1. He's still trying to kind of rebuild things. Frederick Brunet.
Now, here's where it gets interesting. A rebuilding team would have interest in him, whereas a non-rebuilding team would not.
I want to say 3.
So I would put him between 2 and 3.
Okay. Mark McLaughlin, I'm guessing, would be a 1. I mean, he's been on waivers a handful of times, and he keeps clearing. So Osterley is a veteran. Mason Millman, I know he's on an AHL contract. That doesn't mean teams wouldn't be interested in him, though.
Yeah, but you can't trade him. You can trade him at the AHL level.
I mean, I would just probably assume it's still a 1, though.
I don't know. I wish the Bruins would sign him.
I know.
Myself.
I mean, are you? What team is going to trade for a guy that doesn't have an NHL contract unless they plan on bringing him up?
Well, you can't trade for him. You can't trade for a guy who doesn't.
You can't trade at the AHL level.
You can trade at the AHL level. You can't trade a guy at the NHL level under an AHL contract. Has to be an AHL trade.
Yeah, so it would have to be. But either way, I don't see a lot of teams that are looking to do that at the moment. Riley Duran.
The 2.
Yeah, that would sound about right. Jackson Edward. I feel like we expect it to be like a 1 or a 2, but could surprise you with like a 3, maybe a 4, but I'm going to probably guess a 2.
The people I talk to, no interest. No interest because they don't know what he is.
Fair enough.
Now, if he was a right shot defenseman, there'd probably be more interest in him. But he's a left shot who's played the right side for 2 years in junior and going on his first pro year. So they don't really know what he is.
That's a fair argument. I could definitely see a hesitation to not have a lot of interest at this time. But can you go negative? Because I put a negative number next to Brett Harrison.
He's a 1. No interest. Same with Trevor Kuntar.
Trevor Kuntar was next. Mike Callahan.
Really disappointed.
Yeah, I'm disappointed in Kuntar so far this year too. But we'll just have to continue to see if he can turn it around because the passion is there. 100% it's there. Mike Callahan.
Well, you know what? And I got into a debate with a guy on this because he's shown well at the few games at the NHL level. And his response, yeah, fine. Why would I have any value for him in a trade when in a couple of months I can sign him for free?
Yeah, that would be what would hurt him as far as value. I mean, unless you would want to try to extend him, but he's not the type of player that gets an extension during the middle of the year.
Yeah.
So I feel like if he had more length to his contract, he'd probably be closer to a 3. But like you said, why trade for the guy that you can sign for nothing in 3 months?
Yeah.
Billy Sweezy.
1.
Joseph Abadi.
AHL deal.
Ryan Mast.
A 1.
Drew Bavaro.
A 1.
Adam Matura. He's not even on the team anymore.
No, he's gone. He's gone to Europe.
Jimmy Lambert.
He's gone. No longer. He was released. All that's left is Jackson Nelson, and he's a 1.
No, we got 2 more left. Brandon Bussey.
Then you got the goaltenders.
Brandon Bussey.
You know what? His season has put him at a 1.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I would expect him to be a 1. I would expect DiPietro to probably be at like a 3, though.
He is. There, you'd be surprised that there's interest in him. Not so much for the NHL level. Like, you got to remember, teams got to build an AHL roster as well.
And a lot of teams are trying to go to a three deep system in goal. And he's the kind of guy that can get you through waivers, call him up, and then use him for a small handful of games. Again, you got the 30 days or the 10 games, and then you can send him back down if he doesn't hit those.
So he's got a .932 save percentage and a 1.99 goals against average in 24 games.
You know what else? I'm looking at your graph on your site here, and what I'm also noticing is that bench rates rating. That bench rates rating has him right around $1 million, just shy, which means if you're at that level in the AHL, you can probably handle a reasonable backup number 2 role in the NHL.
You would think.
I don't think he's going to be there this season. However, I'd be very curious to see what those ratings look like at the NHL level for some of the guys, like a guy like Joonas Korpisalo.
Well, let's look it up.
Because I'm sure there are definitely some teams out there who are going to be looking at Korpisalo with term. I mean, we just saw Logan Thompson get an extension for just shy or just a 6 and some change today.
Just under 6, I believe.
Just under 6. Yeah, 5.85 for 6 years. So the fact that Korpisalo is signed for about $4 million, $3 million, whatever it is, that could be a steal for a team that really needs help in goal now.
Korpisalo's power score from bench rates is 5.7 million.
Whoo.
He's outplaying his contract.
Absolutely. And there's plenty of teams that need a guy like that. I mean, think about Philadelphia as an example. Their current goaltender ain't even in the NHL right now.
Yeah.
So they need someone.
Hasn't that been the issue in Philadelphia since Bernie Perrant retired in the 70s? Well, no, I guess they had Pelle Lindbergh, God rest his soul.
Then they had the Brizgalov and all that stuff play out. But Carter Hart should be in their crease. Obviously, we all know why he isn't, and so therefore he shouldn't be. But think about how much better off this team would be right now if they had Carter Hart.
Yeah.
So they're going to be looking for goaltending help because everything else that they've been doing, the Ducks, if they move on from Gibson, they're going to look for someone to go behind Dostal. There's going to be options. The question just becomes, I agree with what you were saying yesterday. I think that's more of a draft table kind of deal. Or possibly coming out of Four Nations face-off after all the GMs have been in a room together and had in-person conversations. But I don't see Boston willing to part ways with that kind of value right now. So, but I'm glad to see though that some of them are getting those 5s. The question is those guys that are 5s and 4s, are you looking to move any of them?
I'm not openly shopping anybody. No. But if somebody comes calling, I'm listening. I've often said nobody is untradeable.
Oh, I agree with the sentiment. It's just I think a lot of people put together. I mean, how many times you're on Twitter too? How many times have you seen it? Trade Trent Frederick for a 3rd-round pick and use that to get a guy who'll be in the
But
NHL in 3 years.
that's usually in your notifications, Chris. It's the people I follow don't put shit like that out there on Twitter.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So I guess it all depends on who you follow.
Oh man, fair enough, but yeah, I hear that kind of thing all the time. Though, get a guy who's a year or 2, 3 years away. We have some of those guys already. A project guy like Dean Letourneau might be a little longer, but he's also got the ability to shorten that window and be here in 3 years. Now, he might not. It might take 5. Expect 5, but if he's ready in 3, that's a win.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Brian says during a Four Nations Cup is NHL trading shut down. There's no freeze, but I just don't see anybody doing a deal.
No, I understand. My understanding is there's a freeze.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I from what I had heard, it wasn't like an official roster freeze. They just, I wouldn't expect them to do it, but if it's not an official freeze, I don't see why anybody would do that.
I believe there's a roster freeze.
It would make sense to do. It would. I honestly, if I'm the league, I would do it just so that players don't have to worry about it. But my point, Brian, is when you get all 32 GMs in 1 or 2 suites watching games for whatever it is, 2 straight weeks, and there's only 1 game each day, they got a lot of time to talk and spitball ideas and have conversations and for ideas to form. So the trade doesn't necessarily have to go down during Four Nations, but there's going to be time after Four Nations before the trade deadline where those T's can get crossed, I's dotted, hey, we have the workings of a deal in place. Let me go scout the guy for a game or 2. And then, we should be looking at pulling the trigger. It just seems like that's the environment, Dom, correct me if I'm wrong, where GMs get to talking and ideas get thrown out there.
Well, yeah, we talked about it last night. It's 1 game a day. What are they going to do for 21 hours? Sleep?
They'll sleep for what, 5 hours? Most of them.
They'll be having dinner together. They'll be having meetings together.
And most importantly, they'll be having drinks together.
Yeah. Just too bad you can't make a trade at that time.
I know. I'm just saying, though, conversations, people say things. So anyway, we are approaching 8 o'clock. So I think the timing went pretty well. What do you think?
Yeah, it did. I'm pretty sure there's a roster freeze. I can't find it here, but I'm pretty sure there is.
Whether there is or there isn't, what GM is going to be the asshole that trades a player mid 2-week break? It just they're not going to do it. They do have some heart in that capacity. So
whoever's got the chance, real quick, look at the fight between JT Miller and Braden Shen right at the drop of the puck in the St. Louis Vancouver game.
Ooh.
I thought it was a doozy of a fight.
Was that tonight?
Yeah. They were dropping their sticks before the linesmen were dropping the puck.
That's
Here,
great.
I'll retweet it for anybody on Twitter.
Now I got to go watch that one. What was the history?
Miller, it was only like 3 punches, but Miller smoked him.
Oh, he was ready for that from the drop. He wasn't even looking at the puck.
No, neither of them were.
Short little bout. What's the history there?
I don't know. I didn't know there was one between them.
That's interesting. Yeah, Oh, that was off of a goal.
He pulled his helmet off, though. That's a penalty.
It's also 17:03 left in the period, so there already is a goal on the board. So I'm wondering if there has to do with something that happened to cause that goal. But
Shen's getting an extra for pulling the helmet off. Shen.
oh yeah, he ripped that right off his head. Absolutely should be getting the extra.
Tocchet looks impressed, eh?
Oh yeah. Oh boy. Oh, it was the
Anyway,
opening-
folks, Sabres tomorrow night.
I was just gonna say it is 8:00. I heard your alarm going off. That is my signal to know that the show is winding down here for the night. Dom, do you have any final thoughts here?
Hold on, I got to sneeze.
Well, I'll take the time while you're sneezing to thank our friends over at Ice Shaker. Check them out, iceshaker.com. Kitchen grade stainless steel, doesn't hold in any odors, keeps your ice cold for over 30 hours. Again, it's just an incredible product that it's on ABC Shark Tank. People probably have seen the clips because it's owned by the Gronkowski brothers and they're fucking everywhere. So get yours today, iceshaker.com. And like I said, we're going to be doing a giveaway of a Bruins one over the next couple weeks here. So be sure to tune in. And Dom, you think of a final thought here?